Guys, so I wake up this morning, open my inbox, and there it is. The Ukrainian government, yes, the government, sliding into my DMs like a desperate Tinder date, asking me to push their war propaganda. I I almost spit my coffee out, okay? I've been accused of a lot of things, but state-funded foreign influencer wasn't on my 2025 bingo card. So, they even CC'd a closer, someone named MIRA, because nothing says grassroots movement like a government handler. So I'm going to get into this, man. Check it out. Here's the email. Removed the guy's last name, but hi, Jack. United 24 Media here, the biggest Ukrainian media, 1.8 million followers. Sharing news and information about war in Ukraine is looking for creators in the military news niche for cooperation. We have some format options to choose from, but before discussing it, we'd like to ask you if you're open for cooperation with us. So, of course, I said, yeah, let me see what this is. I didn't know. What I did first is I said, who is United 24 Media, before I said yes or anything like that. So I pulled them up. United 24 is a Ukrainian government-run platform launched on 5 May 2022 to raise money for Ukraine in the Russo-Ukrainian war. And so whenever I looked at their LinkedIn page, I pulled up here, United 24 media production, social media publisher, helps you see the real Ukraine and its impact on world matters, right? See the real Ukraine in English language, modern format, digital media, offering short content stories and reels in Ukraine, cultural history, business. So what they're trying to do is go for the American audience. And basically it's a propaganda campaign. And if you look here on their LinkedIn, type government agency. So this is like a lot of people or a lot of companies, they're actually government ran propaganda, right? So they offered me, or they bragged about that other influencers that they've already recruited. That sounds a lot less like journalism to me, but more like a Pokemon, gotcha, got to catch them all. You know what I'm saying? So that's what we're dealing with. United 24 Media, the biggest Ukrainian government-run outlet, writes me this email saying they've got authentic interviews, battlefield footage, and expert commentary. Authentic interviews, yeah, that's what Baghdad Bob called them too, right? The name drop here, a guy named Mark Riker, I have no idea about who that is, bragging about how many views he got, pushing their content, and they're running an influencer recruitment drive, okay, just like a PR agency, except this client list isn't a brand, it's an active war, right? And so whenever I Googled and found out who United 24 Media was and was looking at, this is a government-ran company, I figured, I assume that's whenever I got in touch with them to get them to see what they're going to say to me, right? And there was some back and forth, right? And, this is where we tie in to back in history, Project Mockingbird 2.0. Back in the Cold War, the CIA infiltrated American media to push their narratives at home. They didn't, just influence foreign minds, they targeted ours. And so that's what you're seeing here. And that was 50 years ago. Now, they're not just in newspapers and TV, they're deep inside your social media feeds now. As you can see, they're pushing a campaign to get influencers, right? So my I guess what I'll warn you and keep an eye out for is if you've got a influencer that you follow and for years and they suddenly flip their opinion on something major with zero explanation, it may be that Mockingbird moment. Okay, so again, they tried to recruit me to start pushing propaganda. Now this happened a few years ago. If you recall, if you've been following me that long, I talked about this this one propaganda company, and I believe it was Chinese, were contacting me. And so this was back before I really started doing, I was not doing any political commentary, didn't talk about anything. I was only doing survival and like tactical videos. And this was the early days. So they contacted me and they said, hey, can we post on your account, you know, things of this nature. And they're talking about Facebook specifically, because in this moment, my Facebook account, before it got deleted, had a lot of followers because I did a promotion. I was hired by the History Channel to promote a military show they were doing. And during that, like this is early Black Scout days, I was hired by this the History Channel to promote this new military show they had. I don't even remember the name of it. I think I got the folder back in the office. But essentially what happened was, so they brought me into Facebook, and in this time to have that check mark that, you know, I have it on YouTube. Like, I forgot when I got it on YouTube, but it was like early days. I think it doesn't really even matter anymore, but you got a check mark. The same thing like on Instagram. And I think on X, you can buy them now. But this was back in the day where you couldn't buy that check mark. Like, you had to be someone official. And because I worked with the History Channel, they had some kind of connection with Facebook in that moment. They gave me that check mark. And when you had that check mark in those days, you would get a large following because you were a verified individual or whatever. And so during that time, I had a lot of followers on Facebook. You know, it was actually like my premier platform. And so for Black Scout Survival, and they contacted me and they told me that if I could start posting this news coverage, you know, and they offered me, and this time, this is back in the day, they're offering me like $6,000 a post. I want to say it was either $5,000 or $6,000 a post, and they wanted to do 1 to 2 posts a day. And I was like, yo, about to change my life, you know? And so I said, yeah, let me see what you got. Well, the first one they sent was this Hillary Clinton propaganda piece, you know, and even though I didn't discuss this kind of stuff, I was only doing Black Scout Survival as a tactical brand, survival tactical brand. I was not into that realm, only pushing my company. And I saw it, and because I completely disagreed with the message, I said, no, I can't do that. Like, money can't buy me, you know, to push a narrative that I don't agree with, you know. And it's funny now because like the Patriots attacked me for selling my product, whenever that was the whole premise. I started Black Scout Survival to sell product. I started making videos because my buddy of mine said, oh man, you need to make YouTube videos to push your product. So I started making videos to push my product. And now that I said, you know what, I'm tired of the way the world's burning, let me use my voice. Now I get accused of being a shill, even though, and I get it, a lot of YouTubers start out as YouTubers and then they start shilling shit. I did not start that way. I started out as a brand, and to push my brand was that way. So I get maybe why you would say that, but at least learn the history of the company before you go attacking people. Because if anything, you should be saying this guy's good to go, because instead of trying to sell his product every day, because I should be, if you want to talk to anybody in Marketing 101, they're going to tell you to do a CTA, a call to action, every video to push your product. And I don't. But that's because I'm probably a bad businessman. But the thing is that what I'm getting at is these people are the same ploy trying to get to push the narrative. They want people like me who oppose funding Ukraine's war to all of a sudden flip and say, you know, yeah, we should give our money to Ukraine. Kind of like Donald Trump just said, we need to keep sending ICBMs and shit to Ukraine. He's flipped, you know. Whenever he said day one he was going to stop it, but now he's like, no, let's keep shoveling the money, you know, military industrial complex. But speaking of Donald Trump, you know, it's not just a foreign government thing. Our own political leaders do the same damn thing. The Trump administration, according to multiple reports, are trying to set up a meeting with Joe Rogan. Why? Because Joe Rogan has been hammering Trump over many things, but a lot on the Epstein scandal. Okay. He's been really nailing him about that, and they want him to stop. Now, you have to say, why is Rogan a problem to them? Because Rogan is huge, and you can throttle small voices like mine. You can deplatform certain people entirely, but you can't shut down Joe Rogan, dude. He's got an audience that follows him anywhere he goes. Whenever he was talking about the pill, they call it, he said he was using the dewormer, you know, during the pandemic, they were trying to get him. I can't remember which one it is. I met him on hydroxychloroquine. I don't remember which one it is, but they're saying he was using the dewormer. All over CNN. They made him look sick in the photo, and they tried to deplatform Spotify. Joe Rogan has what you call FU money. Most influencers fold faster than a dollar store lawn chair when the pressure hits, man. Rogan, he's got Spotify checks stacked in the garage. That dude makes $50,000 per UFC event. I don't know if you know that. Every time he goes to a UFC event, he makes $50,000. If you had to send envoys to silence the podcast guy, maybe the problem isn't the podcast guy. Maybe the problem is the record they're trying to hide. And here's the bigger picture, guys, is it doesn't matter if it's Ukraine, DC, or a dictator. When you can't kill the story, what do you do then? You try to kill the storyteller, right? Am I right? Now, let's talk about the current, I don't know if these guys call themselves conservatives, far right, whatever, the civil war that's brewing right now. And I'm talking about Nick Fuentes, Tucker Carlson, and Candace Owens. And even Elon Musk has jumped into this thing. There's a civil war going on between these people, okay? Elon Musk even fired back, suggesting Fuentes might be an asset, right? Let me show you here. So this guy here says, remember when Nick had his money frozen by the DOJ? Ask him how he got them to unfreeze it. Answer, informing. They ask when it was unfrozen. Ask for proof. He was lying to fans every day, taking cash off teens, claiming his account was frozen for 6 months after he got it back. And then Elon Musk jumps in on there. You see, doesn't make sense that the FBI leaves Fuentes alone unless he is an asset of some kind. And this is where Nick then posts up talking about bad jacketing, accusing someone of being a Fed or an informant to destroy their credibility. Okay. This is an old tactic. It's the fastest way to ruin a patriot's career is to slap the FBI informant label on their forehead. You don't even need proof. Just watch the internet mob do the rest. It's like a high school rumor war, except from prom queen that may work for Langley, right? The prom queen works for Langley. Now, is this infighting legit, or someone seeding this conflict? That's what I'm thinking. Someone seeding this conflict on purpose, because Tucker and Candace, they've got huge platforms. And they've got a brand image like no other, okay? They've been drifting away from the approved Trump narrative for a while. And if you're trying to fracture the movement of what they're calling these guys dissident rights now, anyone who's went further right than the MAGA movement. If you're trying to fracture that movement, those are the exact voices that you want to take out, okay? And when we look at, so Candace Owens is under attack by Macron, Bridget Macron's lawsuit. And the funny thing is she did a video where Donald Trump contacted her. Now, they have been on the outs for quite some time. But Donald Trump contacted Candace Owens to shut down the Bridget Macron story, saying that she was born a man. Donald Trump got her on the phone and asked her to stop. Okay. She exposed that. She's exposing a lot of other things. So she's, she was pushing against warp speed and all that sort of stuff. We have Tucker, who Fuentes says, and I guess Tucker admitted that his father was in the CIA. A lot of people, when they hear CIA, they think it's some spooky boogeyman. The thing is, the CIA, like most government agencies, are so compartmentalized. Just because someone is in the CIA, they don't have any idea what this other department's doing. Okay. So it's not like you're in the CIA and you are all knowing and you're running operations. And after you are done with the job, you're cut away, dude. You're cut away. They have nothing to do with you. It's like people say, CIA, once CIA, always CIA. That's a lie. You get dropped worse than a bad habit. Dude, even in the military, the veterans here, imagine before you got out, you're hanging out with your homies, this and that. You get out. Your homies are still in. They don't even hardly talk to you anymore unless they get out about the right time you did and y'all stay in touch. Most of the time, they drop you like a bad habit too. You never hear from your homies again, right? You're not part of the club anymore. And that's just the military. So Is Tucker CIA? Possibly. We don't know. Was he ever part of some type of Mockingbird? Possibly. Is Candace Owens? I don't think so. Is Nick Fuentes FBI informant? I don't think so, right? The way the things they say would not do well for anyone. It's not going to benefit anyone other than maybe the left, who maybe seeded this division between them, right? Because they all got large followings. You see the division amongst them, then they start questioning everybody, then really fractures everything. Because the biggest thing you got to understand right now, social media is the new news. It isn't CNN or Fox anymore. Nobody's watching that trash. Nobody's watching that trash. Dude, I sat and watched Fox one day and I was in disbelief. I sat there, like, there's only some shows that are good on there. Most of them they seem very leftist, to be honest with you. To be very honest with you. I was kind of shocked. I had no idea, but I don't watch television like that. So it's crazy, man. But if you didn't know, they're all owned by the same group. And I can't remember if it's Bilderberg or what have you, those people over there. They own all these companies anyway, including Fox. They're part of so they're all internally owned. It's kind of like when Don Lemon and Tucker Carlson got fired within a few hours of each other. Okay. They cut both of them away. So it was obviously someone bigger in that food chain there, not just within the network. Now, you see, Mockingbird, again, did not die. It evolved. In the 70s, they had to plant agents in 3 TV networks. Today, they've got 1 billion social media accounts to work with. And here's the beauty for them. They don't have to own you. They just have to influence you. One coffee meeting, one exclusive source, one DM with a juicy story they know you can't resist. They don't want to burn the library, guys. They want to swap the books without you noticing. And if you see an influencer suddenly do a 180 degree on a major issue with no explanation, start asking who's feeding them their talking points. Okay. The Tulsi Gabbard, is this it? Tulsi Gabbard said alleged CIA plot operation Mockingbird never ended. It just got rebranded, different name. So it's still going on. I believe it firmly. You hear these certain narratives being pushed about this one country. All these conservative influencers are pushing that narrative more than America being first, right? America should be first, right? Obviously, with great power comes great responsibility. If I see someone getting freaking annihilated somewhere, kids being hurt somewhere, let's go save the day. But to go die for foreign countries because of their interests or oil or whatever is we're so beyond that. We're so beyond that. But they will paint it as patriotism. It's kind of like doing false flag attacks. JFK would not approve a false flag attack. I think it was Operation Northwood, it was called. They wanted to shoot down a Air Force plane and make it like the Cubans did it so they could have a direct combat with Cuba. He would not approve the plan, and then a week later he gets popped. So when you look at these things, a lot of dirty, nasty things have happened in history. And what makes you think they ever turned that junk off? Okay. And I know this is it's probably hard to believe and how deep this stuff goes, but everything we talked about today connects. Foreign governments using influencers to launder propaganda, political administrations leaning on celebrity voices to control scandals, an internal smear campaign to fracture opposition movements. If you control the story, you control the people. And if you can't control the story, you burn the people telling it. 100%. Now, I want to know, drop a Mockingbird in the chat if you've seen the influence flip in real time. Think about it. Think about what you've seen. That's what I've always told you guys. Pay attention. I've said this junk for years, since like 2019. I've always made this statement. I said, pay attention to what you're being told and ask why you're being told this. Tell me in the comments, who do you think is really running these smear campaigns? Have you noticed one of your favorite creators suddenly towing the establishment line? Call it out. Name names. I want to know. I want to see them in the comments. Call them out. Ukraine thought that I'd play useful idiot for their war. The White House thinks they can tame Rogan. And the conservative family is busy eating its own on cue, right? You're watching information warfare from every angle. And here's the ugly truth, guys. The minute you stop questioning, you're already part of somebody's propaganda stream, right? Think about it. You're already part of the stream. Guys, this is Black Scout survival. I'm not for sale. Stay frosty, stay strapped, always stay dangerous.